Doomsday is undoubtedly one of Superman's worst enemies, especially now that he has become the King of Hell. But not even he can withstand a Superman who loses control. I'm Andrew the Geek Master, and in today's video, we're diving into the conclusion of the latest battle between Superman and Doomsday. To make sure you don't miss stories like this, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's get started. The chapter opens with a narration by the Time Trapper. He reveals that his creator once called him the Ultimate, designed to be a weapon, a destroyer, the end of all things. For hundreds of thousands of years, he ravaged countless worlds, and his thousands of deaths and resurrections allowed him to evolve, ensuring he could never be defeated the same way twice. Over time, he arrived on Earth, where he met his end once again at Superman's hands. It was then that he was renamed Doomsday, though the future knows him as Time Trapper. The truth is that his many deaths and rebirths granted him extraordinary abilities. It took the combined effort of the Legion of Infinite Worlds to kill him one final time. However, since then, he has been unable to die and evolve. He believes that if he were to evolve one more time, he would be reborn as a god, able to break the cycle and rule eternity instead of being destined to destroy it. That's why he came to the past, to seek Superman's help in killing him one last time, but apparently he arrived too early. He even hints that Zod will return and that Superman will lose his right eye. Having arrived prematurely, the Time Trapper warns Superman that the greatest horror he has ever faced is approaching, and he will be tested like never before. While Clark will survive, his allies won't be as lucky. Upon hearing these words, Clark charges at the villain, saying no one threatens his friends. However, the Time Trapper easily grabs Superman by the neck and slams him violently to the ground, revealing that despite evolving, he hasn't moved beyond physical violence. Donning his hood once again, he teleports to the future, but not before giving one last warning. The next time they meet, Superman will have to choose to help him, or watch everyone he loves perish. As a gesture of goodwill and to show they can achieve a better future by working together, the Time Trapper gives Superman a few seconds before time resumes, allowing Clark an advantage in his fight against the current Doomsday. And indeed, Superman flies around the world at high speed to gain momentum while everything around him is frozen. As time slowly restarts and Doomsday is about to collide with Superwoman Lois Lane, Superman finally arrives, and with the momentum he's gained, he lands a powerful punch on the villain, one of the few times Superman really lets loose because he knows Doomsday can take it. Superman's punch was so strong that it creates a shockwave, shaking all of Metropolis. However, we see Superman's hand bleeding, and that's when Clark realizes that the fire surrounding Doomsday is the fire of hell, which has magical properties and can burn him. While Superwoman deals with Doomsday's dogs, she asks if the villain has been defeated. But Superman knows that Doomsday wouldn't be defeated with just one punch. That was only round one, and that's when Doomsday returns, standing tall in front of Clark. Knowing the danger the city is in, Superman orders Mercy Graves to evacuate all of Metropolis. She responds that she intends to activate Project Deadbeat, but for that, she needs Superman to buy time. While Superman battles Doomsday and Superwoman fights off Doomsday's hounds, John Henry Irons and Natasha Irons, representing Steelworks, work to evacuate the area surrounding the fight. Meanwhile, the amnesiac Lex Luthor, who had been out for a walk, rescues a boy separated from his mother. Suddenly, a building begins to collapse right where they are. Superman shows up just in time to hold up the building, buying Lex enough time to escape. The problem is, Doomsday is coming at Superman at super speed, ready to land a huge punch. Thankfully, Clark isn't alone. Superwoman enters the scene and hits Doomsday with both hands, saying she still has more punches to throw. However, her strike doesn't seem to affect Doomsday much, and he immediately retaliates, throwing Lois violently into a building. This scene fills Superman with rage, and he charges at the villain, determined to end the fight once and for all. Meanwhile, in the Justice League Watchtower, Batman warns Mercy that the heavy hitters of the League are ready for the attack. Mercy tells them to wait a little longer before joining the battle because Supercorp has a plan, and if they fail, the Justice League will be their only hope. With that, Mercy and a Supercorp squad arrive at the battle site with Project Deadbeat, which we find out is actually Parasite. Yes, the idea here is pretty clear. Parasite should drain Doomsday's powers and life energy. And indeed, while Superman is battling Doomsday, Parasite grabs the villain and starts draining him. Clark warns Rudy to be careful not to kill the Doomsday because if that happens, the villain will return even stronger. But at the moment, when Parasite is relishing the drained power of Doomsday, saying he's never felt anything like this before, we get one of the most brutal scenes in this story. To Superman's horror, Doomsday manages to free his hands and literally rips Parasite in half like he's paper. Yes, Parasite simply dies, and as if that weren't enough, drops of his blood splatter on Superman's face, who was nearby. The scene leaves everyone in shock as Doomsday only screams, making it clear that what he just did was nothing to him. At this point, Superman adopts a more intense stance. He starts punching the villain with all his might, making Doomsday bleed. Seeing this, Lois gets worried, saying, "It's happening again." While Superman violently punches Doomsday into the ground, Lena Luthor, Lex's daughter, who's monitoring Superman's condition, warns that his red levels are rising. Mercy yells desperately for Superman to stop, and well, this is where we have that scary moment with Superman completely furious. His hands are covered in Doomsday's blood, his eyes are glowing red. But the most interesting detail is that we see red energy veins appearing, seemingly cracking Superman's face. With Doomsday completely defeated, Supercorp's squad uses their tech weapons to calm the villain, while Superman only returns to his normal state when Lois talks to him, saying it's over. Still, when Clark returns to normal, he's completely exhausted, which seems to indicate that those red levels that increased drain a lot of his energy. Superman remains worried about Metropolis, but it seems that in the end, everything worked out. Lex managed to get the child he rescued to their mother. Parasite turned out to be the real hero here, sacrificing himself to save everyone. He drained so much energy from Doomsday that it allowed Supercorp to pierce the villain's skin with super strong syringes. And at this very moment, they're pumping Black Mercy poison into him to keep him trapped in his dreams. Of course, this won't last long. Supercorp plans to keep the villain sedated. With that, Doomsday is taken away while Superwoman leaves with Superman. That night, Jimmy Olsen calls Lois and complains that Supercorp is somehow editing all the footage of the fight to hide Superwoman's face. Lois, wanting to keep her secret hidden, says that if Superman trusts Supercorp, they should trust them too, and then she hangs up, claiming she has a virus. The truth is, Lois is hurt from Doomsday's blows, although Clark uses his freeze breath on her wounds. It's pretty obvious that Clark is worried about what happened to his wife, even though Lois tries to downplay it, saying she's fine and understands the risks of being a superhero. Clark accepts it, knowing he can't underestimate Lois, but also says he will always worry about her. He knows they were lucky, after all. Doomsday is one of the worst adversaries he has ever faced. He then tells her about the Time Trapper's warning, that Doomsday's return was a sign of more horrors to come, and now he wonders what could be worse than Doomsday. Meanwhile, on the planet Calaton, a mysterious figure notices that the Ultimate has returned. This person is wearing a suit that resembles the containment suit Doomsday wore when he first came to Earth. They say that now that Doomsday has returned, it's time to take revenge at any cost. Thanks for sticking with us through this incredible journey into the Superman and Doomsday showdown. What did you think of the Parasite's sacrifice or Superman's rage mode? Could anything truly be worse than Doomsday? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your thoughts. And don't forget, this epic story is far from over. To stay tuned for the next chapter, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and leave a like. It helps us bring more amazing content to you. Thanks for watching and see you in the next adventure.